The American dream, it's a phrase that conjures images of prosperity, freedom, and endless possibilities. It's an idea as ingrained in the fabric of America as apple pie and baseball, a vision where hard work and determination can lead to success and happiness. But for many, this dream is overshadowed by the harsh reality of crippling student loan debt, making the path to success seem more like a distant mirage. We're told it's a land of opportunity where anyone can achieve success through hard work and determination. The stories of self-made millionaires and thriving entrepreneurs are held up as proof of this promise. But is that still true? Or has the American dream become an elusive fantasy for the majority, or is it a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep us complacent while the powerful few tighten their grip? Behind the scenes, deals are made and strings are pulled, often without our knowledge. In his incisive work, Noam Chomsky, the ever so slightly grumpy yet brilliant linguist and political activist, argues that the American dream is fading, not because of some natural economic cycle, but because of a deliberate and systematic dismantling of democratic processes. Chomsky points to the erosion of voting rights, the influence of money in politics, and the growing disconnect between the government and the governed. He suggests this dismantling is orchestrated by those in power, a wealthy elite who benefit from the status quo. These individuals and corporations have a vested interest in maintaining their dominance, often at the expense of the broader population. Chomsky's book isn't just a scathing critique of the current state of affairs, it's a siren call, urging us to wake up and smell the proverbial burning constitution. He challenges us to recognize the signs of decay and to take action before it's too late. He lays bare the mechanisms used to concentrate wealth and power, leaving us with the unsettling realization that the land of the free might be anything but. The scales of justice seem tipped in favor of those with deep pockets, while ordinary citizens struggle to make ends meet. This essay delves into the heart of Chomsky's argument, exploring his 10 principles of concentration of wealth and power. These principles reveal the tactics used to manipulate economic and political systems, ensuring that the rich get richer while the rest are left behind. We'll examine how these principles play out in the real world and why understanding them is crucial for anyone who hopes to see a more equitable and just society. By shining a light on these issues, we can begin to challenge the status quo and work towards a future where the American dream is within reach for all. Chomsky's central thesis in his book Requiem for the American Dream is stark and unsettling, painting a grim picture of the current state of American society. The American dream as we know it is dying. The promise of upward mobility and a better life for future generations is slipping away. The gap between the super-rich and everyone else has widened into a chasm, and the middle class is being squeezed into oblivion. This growing disparity is not just a statistic, it has real, tangible effects on people's lives. This isn't an accident, it's a feature, not a bug, of the system. The mechanisms of our economy are designed in such a way that wealth naturally accumulates at the top. He argues that this concentration of wealth and power is a direct result of neoliberal policies. These policies, which have been promoted for decades, claim to champion free markets and individual liberty. However, in practice, they often serve to empower corporations and the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. The deregulation of industries, tax cuts for the rich, and the weakening of labor unions have all contributed to this imbalance. This concentration of wealth, Chomsky warns, leads to a concentration of power. When a small elite controls a large portion of the nation's wealth, they also gain disproportionate influence over political decisions. As the rich get richer, they exert more influence over the political process, shaping policies that further benefit their interests. This influence extends to lobbying, campaign donations, and even direct involvement in government. This creates a vicious cycle where wealth begets power, and power is used to acquire more wealth, leaving everyone else scrambling for crumbs. The result is a society where the majority struggle to get by, while a privileged few thrive. Chomsky points a finger at neoliberalism as a key driver of this growing inequality. He argues that the ideology, which champions free markets and minimal government intervention, has been twisted to serve the interests of the wealthy elite. This manipulation has led to a system where the rich get richer, while the poor and middle class struggle to make ends meet. Think of it as that friend who's always going on about personal responsibility, always preaching about how everyone should pull themselves up by their bootstraps, while conveniently forgetting to pay you back for last night's takeaway. This analogy highlights the hypocrisy often found in neoliberal rhetoric. Neoliberalism in theory sounds great. Free markets, limited government intervention, individual freedom. Who wouldn't want that? The promise of a society where everyone has the opportunity to succeed based on their own merits is undeniably appealing. However, Chomsky argues that, in practice, neoliberalism has been hijacked. The ideals of a fair and open market have been overshadowed by corporate interests and the pursuit of profit at any cost. Instead of creating a level playing field, it has led to a system where corporations and the wealthy elite write the rules of the game, ensuring that they remain at the top, often at the expense of the environment, workers' rights, and democratic principles. The unchecked power of corporations has led to environmental degradation, the erosion of labor protections, and a weakening of democratic institutions. Think about it, tax breaks for corporations while social safety nets are slashed, leaving the most vulnerable without support. This creates a society where the rich are insulated from the consequences of their actions, while the poor bear the brunt of economic instability. Deregulation of industries that then engage in reckless and harmful practices, putting profits over people and the planet. This lack of oversight allows for corporate malfeasance to go unchecked, often resulting in scandals and crises that affect millions. The erosion of workers' rights and the decline of unions have left employees with little bargaining power, making it harder for them to secure fair wages and safe working conditions. These are just a few examples of how neoliberal policies in their current form can exacerbate inequality and concentrate wealth in the hands of a select few. The promise of prosperity for all has been replaced by a reality where the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen, challenging the very foundations of a just and equitable society. Chomsky's first principle for how to create this dystopian, yet oddly familiar society is chillingly simple: reduce democracy. The logic here is pretty straightforward, in a supervillain kind of way. If you want to concentrate power, you need to limit the ability of the masses to interfere with your plans. How do you do that? Make it harder for people to vote, especially those more likely to challenge the status quo. Make it easier for wealthy donors to influence elections. Sow distrust in the media and democratic institutions. And hey, while you're at it, why not make it more difficult for people to organize and protest? Sadly, there are plenty of real-world examples to illustrate this principle. Think about voter ID laws that disproportionately disenfranchise minority groups, or the obscene amounts of money poured into elections by corporations and wealthy individuals, giving them a disproportionate influence on policy. So let's dive into how ideology can shape narratives. You see, it's fascinating how the framework of beliefs and ideas can influence the way stories are told and perceived. When we talk about molding the narrative, we're really discussing the power to direct thought and opinion. It's not just about what is being said, but also how it's being presented. This subtle shaping can have a profound impact, often guiding the audience towards a particular viewpoint without them even realizing it. In essence, understanding this concept is key to grasping the deeper layers of any narrative. So, let's talk about how the economy has been redesigned, shall we? It's become increasingly clear that the system is rigged to benefit those at the top. The burden has been shifted onto the shoulders of the many, while the few reap the rewards. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a deliberate strategy. Next, we see a concerted effort to attack solidarity among the people. When unity is broken, it's easier to run the regulators and engineer elections to favor certain interests. This isn't just an erosion of democracy, it's a calculated dismantling. Moving on, there's a clear strategy to keep the rabble in line. How? By manufacturing consent and marginalizing the population. This creates a sense of control and complacency among the masses, ensuring that the status quo remains unchallenged. Finally, we arrive at a call to action. It's time to rewrite the Requiem. Change is not just necessary, it's imperative. We must challenge the system and strive for a fairer, more equitable society. The future depends on our actions today.